ఇలాంటి
Good evening, guys. So maybe you can start with the session. Okay, guys. So today we're gonna start with the Python session because yesterday we took up a Java session. So it's going to be alternate classes. Okay, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so I hope all of you have registered for the InfoTQ under the Python itself, right? Okay, great. So today we're gonna start with the Python questions that was being asked previously or whatever the related to the InfoTQ pattern. So we have picked up those questions and we are going to discuss those. So today we will be focusing on the Python, which kind of related to the data structure side. So maybe you can give it a try for the first question.
అయినాయి. క్యూ డాటా స్ట్రక్చర్ అంట DC స్టార్టింగ్ తక్కువ.
Guys, please mute yourself. Yes, so here we'll be discussing only the problems. Along with the problems, we are discussing like how exactly are you going to approach it. If you guys have any doubts, maybe you can clarify at the same time. Does that sound good? Okay, great. I hope all of you have read queue data structure. So this is based on the queue data structure, which basically operates like is it first in first out or last in first out? How does a queue work? First in first out or last in first out? Okay. First in first out. Good. Correct. So can you guys give it a try to answer this question? Okay, great. Okay, answer B. Okay, let's see. Factorial of a number. Okay, good. How about others? Guys, at least give it a try. Never mind if it's correct or wrong. But if you give it a try, you can get it correct in the exam itself. So, and you will get to know that where you are lacking or. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, return either one or the product of all. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's start with this question. So we have a function given, which is basically taking the parameter as a value n itself. Let's start with the number is equal to 4. Let's consider the n value is equal to 4. So we have created q is equal to q of n. We have created an empty q of 4 numbers. Okay. If n is equal to 0, so in that case, I would say the n is not equal to 0 and it will return the n is not equal to 0, so we'll not go inside the if statement itself. We'll go to the else part. After going for the else part, we will just go inside the folder for I in range 1 to n plus 1. And q dot nq. What is an nq does? It basically puts the elements in the queue what we have created. So if we have a look at it over here, okay. If you have a look at it over here, we have created a queue of 4 elements. The very first element itself is the 1, since we are iterating from 1 to n plus 1. So we have inserted 1. the for loop doesn't end here. It will iterate till the n plus 1. So we have considered n is equals to the 4, but the n plus 1 is the last value, so we'll not consider that. So basically, it will take the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that clear? So q dot nq of I will give me a q that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we got the q. Now the temp is equals to the 1. This is what the initialization we have done. If you see over here, the temp is equals to 1. Now the while statement says this, while not q is empty. That means till the time, and what exactly we are going to do? Temp star, that is temp star is equals to the q dot dq. So that represents the temp is equals to the temp star q dot dq, correct? And we have to dequeue the elements until the queue did not get empty. So once the queue get empty, it will come out of the loop and return me the temp statement. So the very first element we got, okay, since it follows whoever is going first will come out the first. So what is the element we have put first? The 1 itself. So the 1 will get out of the loop, the 1 will get out, and the temp is equal to the temp q dot dq. Since we have initialized the value of a temp is equal to the 1, so 1 into q dot dq, that will become again 1. Now we'll take 2 out from this, and that would become 1 into 2. Now 2 into 3 it would become, since the temp value is always getting updated. So at the end, we'll get the multiplication of all these numbers, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 1, 2, 3, 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 is nothing but a factorial of a number n. So initially we have considered the number as a 4, and at the end result is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. So that would be 4 factorial. Okay. Okay, which part you want me to explain again? How about others? Is this clear? Okay. So see, initially, okay, let me just give a quick recap of the question. Okay. Let me explain it again to you. So I hope all of you are aware of what a queue and how does it works. We have taken a value as a 4. So let's just assume a value as a 4. Q is equals to Q of 4. So we have created an empty queue. That means an empty array we have created which can contain 4 elements altogether. Correct? Till here it is an empty. If n is equals to 0, is the value of n is equals to 0? Is it? No. So n is not equals to 0. So we'll go to the else part. Is that clear? Once we'll go to the else part for I in range 1 to n plus 1. Okay, what is the value of n we have taken? 4. So it will basically represent the 1 to 5. But if you know about it, that a for loop, if we write a for loop from 1 to 10, that means the 10 is excluded. So the loop will iterate for 4 times. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll keep on inserting each and every element inside the queue, which basically does by this function. That is q dot nq of I. So q dot nq of I will return me this 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is this clear? Okay. After returning 1, 2, 3, 4, while q is not empty, we will the temp has been initialized with the value 1. So the temp is equal to the temp star q dot dq. So we'll keep on removing the elements from the queue and getting it multiplied with the value of temp. So that would give our final answer. Is this clear now, guys? Okay, great. Anyone has doubt? If not, maybe we can move on to the next question. Is my screen visible to everyone? Okay. Can you guys quickly try to answer this question? I hope you are aware of a linked list as well. So today we'll be covering the Python data structure related questions, which are going to be the MCQs, as you have a first round of an MCQs altogether. Okay, actually the question itself is a little blur because this has been taken from the portal. So try to manage. And if you guys have any doubts like in understanding the question, maybe you guys can ask. Okay, 12 and 26 will get swapped. Okay, let's see. Okay, the solution should be what should be the state of a linked list. When I say the state of a linked list, that means what should be the correct position of each and every element, and what should be the position of, let's say, the 12, 34, 26. So you need to print the linked list itself. How about that, guys? Are you guys aware of a linked list? Okay. Okay, no. Hmm. So wasn't that covered before the linked list sessions? I mean, it's a part of a data structure class. Okay. So how about stack use? Okay, we have learned in the DS using C. Okay, but you have obtained Python in the InfyTQ, right? if I'm not wrong. Okay. So it really doesn't matter in whatever the language you have learned, but at least because even these are the things which would be kind of a similar in whatever the language you learn it. Either it's Java, Python. These are not the advanced data structure. These are the data structure which should be taught at the initial stage itself. Okay. Okay, maybe I can do a quick poll for this. Okay, it's not the advanced data structure. Okay, just to get a clear picture, because on the chat it won't be that visible. So maybe we can do a quick poll for this. Okay, can you guys see a poll on your screen? Okay, great. Okay, guys, can we do a quick fast? It seems only 60%, 65% have voted yet. Can we do it a bit quick? Okay. Okay, fine. It seems others are inactive, so maybe we can just end the poll. Okay, so from the poll, it's look like to 59% or 60% doesn't know. Okay. Linked list is a linear collection of element. No order is given, but each element points to the next. Correct, correct, correct. This is what the linked list. Okay, so maybe for now, I will just give you a brief about the linked list. Okay, just it would be a quick intro. So what exactly we have in the linked list? Linked list you can consider it as a kind of an array. Okay, but the initial difference from the array is has like two nodes. Okay, so it would look like this. Maybe we can quickly refer this and get on the same page. So at least we can attain the questions. So a linked list is a linear data structure in which the elements are not sorted at a contiguous memory location. The elements in a linked list are linked using a pointer. So in each and every, we have two different sections. One is the data, other one is the next. Okay. So the first one is the data part, and the next one is filled for the pointer itself. So what exactly we're gonna do in the array we have? Let's say in the array we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So how are we going to map into the linked list into the same array? So it would be like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and these are the connections. So let's say the address of this node. The address of this node is X. So the value of this should be X. The address of this node is Y. The value of this should be Y. The address of this node is Z. So the value of this should be Z. And the last element of a linked list would always be pointing to the null if it is a single linked list. So we have a various kind of a linked list. Maybe for the question, it should be more than sufficient. Okay, so what exactly are we gonna do in this? What would be the state of a linked list when the following Python function is invoked by passing the head? So the very first element itself is called as the head of the linked list, head node of the above linked list and 3. So what exactly we're gonna pass here? Head comma 3. Okay, we'll go inside the function that is temp is equals to the head. Okay, so the value of a temp is a variable you can consider, and the head. So initially the head is this node. Okay, so that we have assigned the value of head to the temp. So the temp is now this one. Okay, is the value of head is equal to none? No, it is not none. So we'll go to the else part. I is equals to 1. Okay, if I is equals to 1, while I is not equals to n, is the I is equals to n? Okay, so in the very first, 1 is not equals to 3. It will go inside the loop. Temp is equals to the temp dot next. Okay, when I say the temp is equals to the temp dot next, I mean iterating regarding the pointer with respect to the pointer. So the temp, initially the temp was this. Now the temp is equals to the temp dot next. The temp will come over here. So this is how the link we iterate inside the linked list. So the temp is equals to the temp dot next. So temp will reach out over here, and the I will get incremented by 1. Again, the value of I will become 2. If the 2 is equals to n, 2 is not equals to n, it will again go inside the loop. The temp will come over here. Once the temp will come over here, I value will become 3. Since we are incrementing the I each and every time. So I is equals to 3. If the 3 is not equals to 3, that condition becomes false. So that our temp value is here and I value is 3. We'll come out of the loop. Temp1 is equals to the head dot data. Where is the head we have? Still the head we have here, because we have already assigned the value of temp. We have already assigned the value of head to the temp, and the head is still at the first position. So the temp1 is equals to the head dot data. And what is we have at the head place? It's 12. So the temp1 is equals to the 12. Okay, head dot data is equals to the temp dot data. So what is the value of an head dot data we have? is 12. What is the value of temp dot data we have? It's 26. Currently, it's 26. Sorry, we are, yeah, correct. Currently, it's 26. Now, the temp dot data is equals to the temp one. Correct? So, if we replace both these values, that means temp dot data, and the temp we have over here, so that would be equals to the temp one. So the temp one is equals to the 12. Temp one is equals to 12 from this line. Head dot data is equals to the temp dot data. This is basically for the replacing one, and the temp dot data is equals to the temp one. So this is basically for the replacement. We are doing all these things. Is that clear, guys? Okay, okay. Okay, I wasn't sharing this. Okay, clear. Okay, good. Yes, we did swapping. Correct. Okay, once more. Okay, now the head will be 26, right? Correct. The head will be 26. So the linked list will become like 26, 34, 12, 67, 98. Why n is equals to 3? Can you read the question again? Hold on.
Sir, we didn't understand, sir. I didn't.
Just a second, just a second. Okay. The n is equals to 3. If you guys see, it's given inside the question itself. What would be the state of a linked list when following Python function is invoked by passing the head node of the above linked list and 3? Okay, so let me just quickly explain it again to you. So what exactly we are doing over here is just give it a read for the question. In the linked list, we have these elements 12, 34, 26, 67, 98. Okay, the head is always at the first node. Correct. The 26, 34, 12, 67, 98 is the final answer. Correct. This is the final answer we will be getting. So the temp is equals to head. Initially, the temp is at this position. We have assigned the value of head to the temp as well. If the head is equals to none, do we have any value at the head? Yes, the head itself contains a node. So it's not null. We'll just come out. We'll not go inside the loop. We'll come to the else part. Till here, is it clear? I is equals to 1. We have initialized the value of I, while I is not equals to n. So we have to iterate inside the loop till the I will not become equals to the n. So initially the value was 3, I was 1. 1 is not equals to 3. Temp is equals to the temp dot next. Initially the temp was at the head position. Now the temp will go at this position. And the I value will become 2 since it was 1 before. Now the 2 is not equals to 3. Temp will again move one direction ahead. So temp will come over here. I value will become 3. Is the 3 is not equals to 3? It's equal. So the temp value will retain over here, will come out of the loop. Temp1 is equals to the head dot data. So the temp1 will be equals to the head dot data. What we have at the head? 12. So that would retain the temp1 value will become 12. Head dot data is equals to the temp dot data. So head dot data, that means this data will get replaced by the temp dot data, and the temp we have over here. So that would So this value will become 26. So now after this line, till this line, what we have 26, 34, 26, 67, 98. Now temp1 dot data, sorry, temp dot data is equals to the temp1. And what is the temp1 value? It was 12. So basically what we did, we just did a replacement of these two values, 12 and 26. That's it. Is that clear now, guys? Okay, what we have, if the head, okay, if the head is equals to null, we will just come out of the loop. It won't get executed at all. And that would be the only case when you have nothing in the linked list, when you have a length, a zero length linked list. Is that clear? That's the only case when the head can be null. Okay, great. Okay, give it a quick read, guys. It's a multiple choice question. And array, I'm sure all of you have read it. So try to answer. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. Okay, good. So 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. So easy, quite an easy question. Which of the following statements are true with respect to the array data structure? Select the 3 options. So anyways, if you figure out that what is the incorrect option, you're gonna get the definitely all the three correct answer. So inserting an element at the end requires a shifting of array element. Does it? Okay, let's say I have an array. Okay, let's say I have an array 1, 2, 3. Okay, just assume we have a block over here, and if I need to add any element, I can just add it. I don't have to shift any numbers for this. Element of an array can be accessed randomly as well as sequentially. Yes, we can access the array elements randomly because we have a concept of indexing over here. That means array at the second index, array at the third index, and we can get the number by itself. And we can tell from the starting, I need 4th number. So that would be at the third index. So we can access it sequentially as well. Inserting an element at the beginning requires a shifting of an array element. Of course it does. If you want to insert an element at the 0th element, you need to shift each and every number by 1 position. Okay. Inserting an element at the beginning requires a shifting of elements of an array. Yes, deleting an element from the beginning requires shifting of an array. So deleting an element from the beginning requires shifting of an array. If you delete an element from the beginning, that means you need to shift each and every element by 1 position. So that is also the correct option. So the correct options are 2, 3, and 4. Is that clear? Any doubts, guys? Okay, 1 is for sure incorrect. The reason behind that is inserting an element at the end doesn't require the shifting at all. And we need to find the correct options. Is that clear? Okay. Kind of a similar question. Can we answer it quickly? Yes, the PDF will be shared by the Suntech team itself right after the class, or maybe by the end of the day. But they will shortly share with you guys. Okay, good. Guys, please read the question carefully. Because a small miss, rather than getting the correct question, you might get a negative marks over there. So be careful with the question, what is being asked. Okay. Okay, so first of all, which of the following statement are false? So that you need to keep in mind, and you need to find the false statement. Okay, deleting an element from the beginning of a requires shifting of element. That is a correct statement. It's not a false statement. Inserting an element at the end of an array does not require the shifting of element. That is again a correct statement. Element of an array cannot be accessed randomly. Yes, we can access randomly. We do have an indexing over there. So that's an incorrect option. We will tick this. Element of an array cannot be accessed sequentially. We can access the elements of an array sequentially as well. So this is also a correct option. This is also an incorrect option. So the options are 3 and 4. Is that clear? Any doubts, guys? If no, we can move on to the next question. If yes, do let me know. Okay, good. Can you guys move on to the next question?
Sir, we don't know hash table. Please explain, sir.
Which one?
Hash table, sir.
Hash table. Okay. So basically, what a hash table is the following. Let me just explain with the question first. The following values are to be stored in a hash table. So hash table you can consider it as an array data structure, but the difference between a hash table and a data structure and an array you will find. So hash table, it's a normal data structure only, but here the question what is asked in the question is, consider these values as arrived in the given order. Okay, these are the values, let's say you got, and you need to find a hash function. So the hash function should be the one with which you will get the zero collision, and this is what the requirement is. When I say a collision, so let me just give a brief about it. Okay, we don't have it. So let's say, since there are how many elements do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have created an array of 6 elements. Okay, at initially 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we need to find a number with which, if we do a modulo of these numbers, there shouldn't be any kind of a repeated modulo at the end. What I say by when I say this, what I mean by is, let's say, okay, let me do it here. Okay, let's say we have the numbers as, so the numbers are 82, 13, 42, 22 and 5. Okay, so let me do it here. So we have the numbers as 82, 13, 42, 22 and 5. And there is nothing hash table concept needed as much, but what we have to make sure for this question is identify the hash function which will result in the zero collision. When I say a zero collision, that means you need to, this is a hash function. So let's say I have given a function, you can assume there is a function h of k, which would give me the value of k modulo whatever the number x we have. So for the first option, we need to consider this as an 8. So let's say the number itself is 8. Okay. So what is the value of k initially we have? Let's say these are the value of k's I have. So can I get the answers from you guys? If this is a function we have and these are the values of k, what are the answers are we going to get? For the first, I have written it as a 0. For the second, can you guys tell me the remaining? Quickly. After that, it will be easy for you guys to understand it. Maybe the remaining ones. Okay, 5. Good.
2.
Okay. What about others? Then 6. Then 5. Can you see the repetition happens over here? The 5 and 5 are getting repeated. So definitely this is not the answer, right? And thank you guys. Okay, let's do with 7. Let's do the same thing with 7 and try to get the answer. Is it better now? Okay. So it should be 3, 2, 6, 0, 1, 5. Okay. Do you see any repetition over here? No, right? So this is what our answer is going to be. If you want, you can check the remaining as well. Maybe you can check for 6. Can you guys check for the 6?
Sir, what about collision 1, sir?
Which one?
Sir, if they gave collision 1, what we should do, sir?
Yeah, the collision one, then you need to find, let's say for the given test case, let me just, okay. So for the collision one, there is no collision happened, right? And if you see at the above question, there are 2 collision happening. The 2, 2 and the 5 and 5. We have those questions as well. Going forward, we will discuss as well. Is that clear?
No, sir, did not understood, sir. Can you give for this example, sir? Collision 1.
Okay. So let's say, can you just tell me the value for the sixth one? What if we have the k modulo 6?
Sir, when we gave when we gave 8, 2 collisions happened, no sir, 2 5. That means that is 2 collisions, sir.
Correct. These are considered to be as a two collision. Correct.
Sir, if one collision means one number, sir.
One collision. Okay, I got the answer for this. Okay, so 221045. How many collisions do we see over here? Only one, right? Because the 2 is the only index that is being collision, right? So this would be the case for the one collision, this would be the case for the zero collision, and this would be the case for the two collision. Correct. One collision is asked, then number of repetitions be more than 2. Correct. It can be more than 2. So if you see over here, the number of collision when I say, okay, let me do. So it would be like, yeah, I got your question. So let's say we have indices over here. So when we are going to fill the numbers, so these are the indices and these are the numbers we have. So the 0 means we are going to fill the number at the 0th index. So the 80 will be filled over here according to the first case. Okay. Okay, then after that 2 is going to be filled over here. Then we'll fill the 5 over here. Then again there will be a collision for the 2. So the number would be, sorry, that would be 13. And then after that the 42 will be in the corresponding the same line. Correct. It can be greater than 2 as well. Any other doubts, guys?
Sir, please explain last topic, sir, again.
Okay, so the last, what exactly we are going to do, since the question is like, if the one collision is asked, so let's say the 2 is getting repeated 3 times, but at how many indices we are getting the collision, right? So at only one index we are getting the collision. So if let's say we got somehow this, okay, this is the case somehow we got. So we got the only one collision, we'll consider this. Only one index is getting collision. That would specifically mention in the question that what exactly they are trying to ask. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, give it a try for this. If you got the previous question.
Collision. Sir, collision 1 to 4.
Yes. Just type in the chat. Okay. Because if everyone starts speaking, it would be a mess. Okay, good. Okay, so I hope this question is clear to everyone. Okay. Okay, let me just quickly explain it to you for others. Okay, so what exactly the question says is the following values are to be sorted in the hash table using the hash function is given. So h of k is equal to the k modulo 7. Values that need to be sorted arrived in the given order. 37, 10, 44, 53, 8, 11 and 29. These are the values we need to take a modulo of. So these are the values of k you can consider. Identify the value for which of the hash values generated will collision occur while mapping the values to their corresponding buckets using the given hash function. So this is a hash function we have. Okay, if we do 37 modulo 7, it will give me 2. If we do 10 modulo 7, it will give me 3. If we do 44 modulo 7, it will give me 2, and so on and so forth. Till here, is it clear? So when we say a collision repeat, that means if a number is getting repeated 2 or more than 2 number of times, that means there is a collision. When do you say a collision occurs? Right? There should be a something identical. Okay, so when we say a collision occurs, there should be something identical index which is already present there, and this will lead to a collision. So the 1 and 1 will lead to a collision, 4 and 4 will lead to a collision, 2 and 2 will lead to a collision, but the 3 is itself a single number, so it will not lead to a collision. Is that clear? Okay, hash values means the number that is being repeated. Not the position of numbers. No, I didn't get your question correctly. Identify for which of the hash values. So these are the hash values which they have already given. Okay. Can give it a try for this. Okay. Q.
Sir, Q, sir.
Yes, you can just type in the chat. I'm seeing the chat section. Okay, good. Okay. Well, so consider a customer service hotline. Sometimes when a call comes in, there are not enough operators to handle the call. It is placed on hold. When the next call comes, it is also placed on hold and it continues till the operator becomes available. When the operator becomes available, the first call that was put on hold get assigned to him or her. Okay. Which of the below data is optimal to represent the calls on hold? So it would be Q, because Q, what exactly we are going over here? We are putting a customer on a hold till the time the operator gets available, and we are doing it sequentially. So it's like a queue is getting created and whoever comes first will be served first. Got it? Okay, good. Okay, how about this? Good, linked list. Okay, so sure, it's a linked list only. So they are talking about a treasure hunt game in which you are handled a clue that leads to you another clue. So it's like a link to another link, correct? So you until you find the treasure, the first clue links to the location of the next clue. This is the concept of a pointer that we just discussed. The second clue links to the location of the third, and so on and so forth. What is the data structure can be optimally used to measure, to model the treasure hunt game? That would be a linked list. Kind of a more informative question. Again, the same. Okay, so how a greedy approach works is, that means the very first thing you let's say you have different currencies, different denominations currencies, 5, 10, 20, 100 or whatever. So when we apply a greedy approach, what you have to think of, like whatever maximum you can get at the first, right? That's what the greediness is. So when we talk about the greedy approach, it's like what is the maximum first you can achieve, and later on reducing the cost. So if we have a look at it over here, the 5, 10, and 20, we have three denominations over here. The maximum denomination I see is the 21. So I will just try to get the 20 first. How many maximum 20s I can get? Then after that 10, then after that 5, then after that 1. If in case if possible, that's the only scenario. Okay, so the correct answer should be 3. If we have a look at the third option, it's basically said the 2 I'm getting for the 20 notes, 1 is for the 10 notes, and the 4 is of the 1 coin. I did not include the 5 because if we include the 5, we cannot make it 54. Okay, for the just for those who didn't understand it, just for the greediness approach, you have to always start with the maximum number, whatever you can get. Okay, why it can't be the second option? Because you need to always take the maximum number you can get is the 20, right? So you need to get it maximum number of time. How many maximum number of times you can get the maximum number itself? This is how the greedy approach works. Yeah. Shall we move on to the next? Can you guys read it? Okay, let's see, third. Okay, good. Okay, so let me explain what would be the state of the linked list when the following Python function is invoked by passing the head node of the above linked list. Okay, so we have a linked list given 12, 121, 112, 111, 222. These are the array elements of a linked list we have. So def, fun, head, temp is equals to the head. So initially the temp is pointing to the head node. So we have a temp over here. If the head value is equals to null, it's not null because we have a linked list ready with us. So it will not go inside this. It will go to the else part. While temp.next is not equals to null. When the temp.next will become equals to null, it would be the last position. So the temp.data plus is equals to the temp.next.data. So the temp.data, what is the value of a temp initially we have? It's a temp is pointing to the head. So the temp.data is equals to the 12. What is the temp.next.data? It would be equals to the 1 to 1. So if we sum up these two numbers, what is the number we are going to get? If we sum up 12 plus 121, it would be 133. So the temp is equal to the temp.next. Okay, so the temp.data, that means the very first value becomes 133. And our temp will switch from here to here, from the 0th index to the first index. In the linked list, we don't have an indexing. So maybe you can call it as a from first node to the second node. Okay, now we are on our temp is over here. We'll again go inside the loop. Temp.next is not equals to null since it's not the last element. So the temp.data plus temp.next.data. What is the value of a temp.data we have? Okay, so the temp is over here. The value is 121. Temp.next.data is a 112. Sum of these two numbers. What are you gonna get? It's a 233. So we have the 233 in all the options. Okay. Now we will again iterate inside the loop. Temp.data is again becomes equals to the plus is equals to the temp.next.data. So our temp is here. And we will sum up these two numbers. It will give me 223. Is that clear? We will again go ahead and similarly we will sum up these two numbers. Our temp will come over here. Now the temp.next will become null. If the temp.next becomes null, so it will not go inside the loop and the last value will remain as it is. So the answer would be third. Clear for all of you? Any doubts, guys?
So what's the answer, sir?
The answer would be C.
Okay, sir.
Chudra.
this doc will be shared with you guys as well. So maybe later, if you want, you guys can refer the same doc. Okay. Can we guys quickly try for this? Okay, S1 will be 5, 7, 12. Okay, 5, 12, 7. Okay, let's see. Okay, options. Let me check if I have it. Okay, here are the options. Maybe you guys can quickly take a screenshot or maybe a pic so that others can see the questions. 84, 8, and 5 are the options. Last 30 seconds. Okay, third, 8, 5, 84. 54, 5, 8, okay, that's it. So the options are these: 84, 85, 5, 84, 8, 8, 5, 84. These are the three options I have. Okay, so let's start discussing that. So we have a stack of a 7, 12, 1, 5, 4, 2. Okay, so these are the elements of a stack I have. Okay, if you see how the stack level, it's clearly mentioned over here. It's from top to bottom. So this is the stack that we have created: 7, 12, 1, 5, 4, 2. What will be the output of a Boolean Python function when it is invoked? By passing the above stack, assume all the reference to the necessary files are available. So we have defined a function which basically takes the stack 1. If the stack 1 is empty, is it an empty stack? No. So it will go to the else part. We have created a new stack, okay, which is of length 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we have created and stack. Okay. All these are empty fields as of now. While not stack 1 is empty. Till what is the condition we need to iterate? Till the time this stack doesn't get empty. So we need to iterate in this loop. Okay, the very first element, s1 dot push stack 1 dot pop. Okay, whenever we talk about the pop function, it will always be happen from the top itself. So we'll remove this element and we'll put if we remove from here, we put into this. So that is s1 dot push stack dot pop. So that will become 7. Okay, s1 dot push stack dot pop. So we are removing the second element as well. So 7 and 12 we have removed. Now what exactly we're gonna do is, so 7 is here, 12 is here. Now s1 dot push s1 pop into s1 pop. So we have removed these two. We have removed these two elements from here and we have pushed again back to the s1. So s1 dot pop and the s1 dot pop. So 7 into 12, that is 84, and we have pushed again onto the s1. So 84 will come over here. Okay. Similarly, so at the end we are getting the multiplication of these two numbers at here. So similarly, we'll get the multiplication of these two numbers on this. We'll get the multiplication of these two numbers over here. So it would be like 8, 5, and 84. So what should be the answer? 8, 5, 84. Which option is this? The C option. Any doubts, guys? It's quite easy, just a push and a pop operation that you need to perform over. So what exactly you need to do? Are these random questions or MCQ related? Okay, these are the questions which are the MCQ related questions only, but based on the Python data structure. Okay. Okay, the s1 dot pop, since what is the s1? S1 is basically a stack that we are doing, right? So s1 dot pop into s1 dot pop. So we have first remove the element from here, whatever we have. So the very first element is the 7 and the second element would be the 12. So the 12 into 7 will return with the s1 is basically an assignment for the stack that we have done in this line.
Sir, is it s1 dot pop or stack dot pop?
Okay, stack.pop is basically, see, if you
In the
if
third
you
line, sir.
in the third line, it's s1.pop only,
Then
because
it
the
would
stack,
be 84 now, sir.
correct, it would be 84. So that's what I said, right? This element should be 84.
Then
If-
how
if
did
you-
8 and 5 come from, sir?
Okay. I got your doubt. So basically, what exactly are we going to do is, sorry. Okay, if you have a look at it over here, first, we have to iterate this until and unless the stack one doesn't get empty. Okay, let me explain it to you again. Hope it will become clear for everyone. So these are the elements till here. Is it clear? We have filled these elements 7, 12, 1, 5, 4, 2. Now we have initialized the S1 stack. Okay, there are the two stacks we have now. The stack one, which is basically has all the values. The S1, which is empty as of now till this line. Now we'll go inside the loop. S1 dot push stack one dot pop, which is the stack one, this one. So S1 dot push, in which we have to push in this one. So S1 dot push stack dot pop. So we will pop the first element 7. Okay, we will pop this element as well for this next line. S1 dot push stack dot pop. So we'll pop this element as well. So now we have popped and we have pushed inside it. So this element will become 7. This element will become 12. Till here, is it clear? Now, for the second line, S1 dot push, S1 dot pop into S1 dot pop. So, what is an S1? S1 is this. So, we'll remove this element. If we remove the top element, what would be the top element? 12. So, we'll remove this element. So, the 12 into 7 we have removed. Now, we need to push inside the same stack itself. So, S1 dot push. So we'll push 84 over here. Okay, this is the first iteration is done. Now, did we come out of the loop? Is because we have removed 12, we have removed 7. Now we have 1 and 5. Correct? So if the stack becomes empty, no, we have still 2, 4, 5, 1 in the stack. So it will again go inside the loop. S1 dot push stack 1 dot pop. So it will remove the 1 from here, it will push over here. S1 dot push stack 1 dot pop. It will remove the 5 from here, it will go over here. Now S1 dot push S1 dot pop into S1 dot pop. S1 dot pop. So will S1 dot pop first was the value was 5, then the other value was 1. 5 into 1, it will get placed over here. So the 5 will come from here. Similarly, if the stack becomes empty, still not. So we'll again go inside the loop. S1 dot push stack 1 dot pop. What is the first element we have? 4. It will again go at this place, at the third place, 4. S1 dot push stack 1 dot pop. The 2 will come out of here and it will go at this place. So here we have 4, here we have 2. Now S1 dot push S1 dot pop into S1 dot pop. So 4 and 2 will go right, and it will become 8. Is that clear now? Okay, good. Okay, step 4, is it the size? Yes, it is the size they have defined. Okay, have a look at this question. Let's see how many of you can answer it in 2 minutes. I don't have an option for this answer, this question. Okay. Okay, should we discuss it now? Okay, so just to give a quick heads up on this. So we have a linked list of 1, 4, 6, 7, 9. Okay, this is the linked list we have. What would be the state of a linked list when the following Python code is invoked by passing the head node of the linked list and 5? So here it's given in the question we are passing the 5 as well. So head comma 5. Okay, so the temp is equals to the head, so the temp is pointing to the head node. Is the head null? No, it's not, because the linked list is there. So we'll go to the else part. I we have initialized with the value 1. While I is lesser than n. Is the I is lesser than n? Is the 1 is lesser than 5? That's the correct option. We'll go inside the loop. Val is equal to the temp dot get data. Where is the temp we have? Here itself. So the val is equal to the temp dot get data will return me val value will become 1. Okay, temp is equal to the temp dot get next. So the temp will from head, it will go to the first node. Head dot set data val. So what will be the value of become head? It will become 1. So there is no change in the value at first iteration. But the I value will get incremented by 1. We will again go inside the loop. Val is equal to the temp dot get data. Now the temp is over here. We have the value as a 4. Now the temp is equal to the temp dot get next. So the value of val is equal to the 4. And head we will set is the value of val with the value of val. So the head will become 4 and the temp is over here now. Is that clear? Okay. After this iteration, the value of these are the previous year questions. If you search on the Google and over the YouTube, you can find these questions as well. Okay. Just give it a search. Maybe you can find all these. That's why we have taken these questions. Okay. So head dot set data val. So we'll set the value of an head with the value whatever we are getting. So the value of I at what till what we can iterate, the I is equals to the 4, because if I is equals to 4 is less than 5, if it will become 5, it will come out of the loop. So at the 4th iteration, if I value becomes 4, our temp value will over be here. So the temp will be here and it will become 7. So, and the head will get replaced by the 7. So till here, the linked list would be like 7, 4, 6, 7, 9. Okay, now the temp one is equal to the head dot get data. What is the value of a head we have? We have 7 over here. So temp1 dot set data temp1. Sorry, temp dot set data. And where is the temp we have? Temp is pointing at this location. So the temp dot set data is equal to the temp1. And what is the value for temp1? It's basically what we have on the head, which is 7. So temp dot set data temp1, and it will, so the last value will also become 7.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, why didn't we use just temp dot data, temp dot next? Why did we use that get underscore thing, sir?
Okay, this is a code snippet that they have given, but of course you can directly access it. This is a type of a function that they have written just to give an understanding to the coder. But of course you can directly access it with the temp dot data as well.
No difference either way, sir.
No, there is no difference in that. This is how they have defined it. Even if you want, you can define with the D as well.
Okay.
Yep. No. There won't be any coding question. It would be just an MCQs like we are discussing as now. Correct. This is what the assumption they have taken. And assumption, all the references to the libraries are available. If you see, they have specifically mentioned as well, method get next refers to the link of the next node. Method get data returns the data of the code. So is that clear?
So set data means the value of the val will be stored in head.
Head dot set data. Correct. So the value, whatever the value we have, it will be get stored into the head. So whatever the head is always be here. So the value of a head will get replaced each and every time.
So do we need to add any special library for this get function, sir?
No. It's just a function name. You can define the function name whatever you want. It's just like when you are defining the linked list, when you are writing your own method, you need to write with this function. And even in that they have given in the assumption, if you read it carefully, the method get next returns the link to the next node. Method get data returns the data of the node.
Okay, sir.
Sir, are they inbuilt functions?
They are not the inbuilt function, but there is a library in the Python. You can make use of it, but you can directly access it with the dot data as well.
Okay, sir.
Sir, here set are both different, sir. I mean, both different methods, right?
Which one? Okay, getter and setter are the different
Get and set
methods.
methods, sir.
Correct. Get is basically to get the value, set is basically to
Sir,
set the
by
value.
just using, yes, sir, just by using dot data, there the function is same, sir. We can't fetch and we can't allocate. Storing and fetching is different.
The function is different. If you see, the head dot set data is there and the get data is there. The set and the get are the different functions altogether. Clear? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, guys. So we will continue in the next class, whatever we have remaining as of now. Okay, we'll take up some more challenging questions on the Python and based on the InfyTQ as well. And if you guys feel any doubts, like in the previous question, whatever we have discussed so far, so you can ask in the next class itself.
Sir,
Is that
can you
clear?
share this PDF, sir?
Yeah, the PDF will be shared with you by the Syntec team itself. I will make sure it will be shared.
Sir, can you?
Yeah.
Sir, voice is not clear, sir. Somewhat it is disturbance. Can you use another method, sir?
Is it clear now?
Sir, I'm saying during the class, the voice is not clear, sir.
Okay. How about the others? Are the others also facing that same?
No, sir, it's clear.
No, sir, it's clear.
Maybe you can try changing your connection or wherever you are sitting. Guess that would work. Okay, guys. Okay, can you suggest any? Okay, I would suggest the Geeks for Geeks is a better portal because it has a lots of MCQ questions as well. So you can just read the concept and try at the same time. So that would give a better understanding for the data structure as well as for the Python OOPS concept as well.
Sir, how many questions are we going to get on Python for the Syntec TQ?
Correct. It would be 20 questions that you are going to get for the Python or the Java, whatever you have opted for.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, is there anything like a specific topic need to be discussed in the coming sessions or like that, or only just question papers are going to be discussed?
It would be more or less the MCQs will be there, but along with the MCQ, we will be covering the concept as well. So Most probably the last session, the next session would be going on the data structure as well as on the hooks concept if we are done with the data structure.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.